Good morning everyone and welcome back to Piccadilly Sidings. Now just to catch you up on a couple of bits, the ballast, as I showed you in the last video and put that down, I have not done anything to that. That is the effect you get, and you can see just by putting the paint into the glue mix it really does make a difference. And not only that, the whole thing's toned down and you get all these lovely different variations in tone. You can do that by putting the paint into a separate water mix and then pouring that into the glue, or you can put the paint straight into the glue mix. Now, when I do this, I don't mix it up perfectly. I like to have the little globules of paint come out, and then you get all these effects just all over the place. So I quite like that. Take you up here into the head shunt and the service area. Now this does need to be have more coal put on it, but I'll do that in this video hopefully. And a bit further up I'll put some ash, which will just be chalk scrapings on the track, which will just help to well, give the effect really. Still can't obviously do anything with this area here until that's been replaced. But also want to point out this woodland scenics ballast. If you remember, I had a few issues with that. Somebody told me it was I think they said cocoa shell, which kind of explains why it didn't tone down very well. But there it is. So I'll hopefully do that in this video with the airbrush. Show you these as well. Now, got these probably about 3 weeks ago, I think. And they are the cheapest of the cheap. I didn't realise it was quite as they were, but I feel they're the old FX tooling. But I thought for the price, I can't go wrong really. It'll be fine. Once they've been weathered up, they'll be absolutely great. This is after I had to glue the certain bits back on that fell off. For example, both coaches had a couple of buffers missing. So I thought long and hard what to do about this, including looking on eBay to see if I could find some 4mm buffers. And I must stress, at the time, there wasn't any. There was 5, there was 6, there was 7. I think there was even some 3, but I couldn't find any 4. But that's the way it was. So what I ended up doing was drilling out the socket for where the buffer goes in, putting in a nail with a flat top on it, and then glued the disc back to that because I thought it would give a much bigger gluing surface and it's less likely to fall off. And I bet if I hadn't pointed it out to you, you wouldn't have even noticed. So with a bit of paint on that, that will be absolutely perfect. And I'm sure, again, once these cheap coaches are painted up, I mean, people have done loads of videos on this, you know, I think it'll be absolutely fine. I'm not worried about that at all. Moving on, didn't show you that. There's the no entry sign. I actually did that probably about 3 weeks ago, just after building the bridge. But that's done. And Jack, your barbecue. Get ready, Jack. There you go. There's the barbecue. And there's sausages and pork chops brewing on there for you. So we'll all pile around your house to have those later. Get ready. Now, and there's one more thing I want to show you, and that's this bar. You think, what on earth is that? Well, if I take you down and tilt the camera back up, you hopefully can see that's an LED strip. Now, I've not been able to get out and buy any wood, so you might remember me saying a while ago that I cut up an old bed, and I only bought it for £6 and it seemed daft to chuck the wood when I didn't need the bed anymore. So I thought, well, I can't buy wood for that price, so I cut the bed up. So these were the side rails, and I just literally just run them through the table saw to get them to the size I want. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you would probably notice I've had to put a clamp on the other end of that, because what's happening is it tends to flip forward like that. And the wood is quite actually badly bowed after cutting it. So what I'm going to do is put some of these metal strips onto the edge. So hopefully that should tip it up to the right angle and keep the light facing downwards. Well, that's it. So I've put these shelf brackets onto the end. It's the type of bracket where you put these bits on the wall and you have the actual shelf bracket slot into it. It's that type. Yeah, that's really made a difference, and that's not going anywhere now. It doesn't want to tip back. So that's very, very good. I'm pleased with that. Now, the other thing that I was finding, whilst it's off, I'll point you up, forgive the actual strip was dropping off. So what I've done is glued it on with PVA. Some of you might ask, how did I do it? Well, it's standard lighting LED strip that you can buy from eBay. Let me move that one out of the way. So the wire for that comes in through here and goes straight into the switch. Now, do bear in mind you've got a positive and a negative. The negative on this one and the negative on that one go through the switch. And then the positive on this one and the positive on that one go through the connector block straight through the switch. They don't touch the internals of the switch. And then you can switch it on and switch it off. Right, welcome back. Now, what I'm going to use for this is, I don't have those slip brow match paints like many modelers use, because my model shop doesn't sell them. So that means I'd have to send away for them, and then they become a lot more expensive than just buying them from the shop. So I'm going to use some of that, which has got the name covered up. So I can't tell you what that is, I'm sorry. There's going to be some of that, which is a matte black, and some of that, the anthracite, which I quite like using. So a mixture of grey, black and brown. And then for all stains, you probably saw this, but some gloss varnish to just a little tiny little bit, just to emphasise the actual oil staining when the diesels come through. Right, so just checking. It's giving a good flow. I have to be honest, it wasn't before, so I've just given it a bit of a clean out. So I'm just going to dull this bit down now. Now I am going to put this piece of paper over the platform, so obviously I don't want to, hopefully you can see that, and then just dull this down. Right, the black. I'm just going to do a light dusting over this bit here, just to dull this down a little bit. I'm literally just going to go down the centre of the platform, keeping the brush, the airbrush in line. Right, just a little bit on the coaling area. Just going to darken this down by quite a lot, particularly around the coaling or coal bunker. I will sprinkle some more coal on that. Okay, right, I'll get finished off and I'll speak to you in a minute. Okay, and I've just sprinkled some coal. It's the Dapol coal, and this is the 2mm stuff. And the reason for that is because I just think it would look better to be slightly smaller. Okay then, so I'm going to weather these coaches down. So my first job is to put some Nuln oil over the different areas. So I'm just going to take it and literally just put a blob over the top. Okay, that'll be all right for the time being. So literally just going along all the shut lines and places like that. All right, welcome back. Now, next stage then is start putting on some weathering on the roof. Now, the idea is I'm just going to put some like splodges or tiny splodges on the roof in different places, and then blot them with my finger. Now, I would always emphasise when doing any type of weathering is to look at pictures of the real thing. And if you copy what you see, you can't go far wrong. Go again with the splodges. In fact, I'm just going to water this one down ever so slightly, so it's not quite as intense. And this will dry lighter. Right, so now that's done, and before it dries, literally just, again, streak it across like that. So a little bit more just there. And then a little bit along those shut lines there. Now the next stage is to look at the ends. Now the ends are black, and black does notoriously fade in sunlight. It goes a grey colour, which is what this is. Now I'm not going to paint it as such, but what I am going to do is dry brush some of this over the top to give it that faded look. I'm going a little bit stronger than that. Now going back in with this colour, I would use some sleeper grime if I'd got this. Now I could airbrush this, and I might a little bit, but it's not much. So first thing I'm going to do, these have got plastic wheels, the lovely plastic wheels. So I'm literally just going to spin each wheel around like that, and then inside the edge of the wheels lightly. And then with a bit of grey on it. Now I'm going to do a little bit of this here as well. Now bearing in mind you've got this running board here, so although it would get grey at the top there, it wouldn't become very brown as such because the muck would stay below. So I'm just going to dry brush the muck down below there. So I've now gone just around the frame, and I will do the inside there a little bit. The bottom of this coach, when a wagon or a coach is going along, more modern ones get very dirty up inside here. If you look at tankers, there's a line, there's a definite edge where the previous tanker has protected it. But so I'm literally just going to do a little bit and flick it up. Not much. Hoping you can see this. But again, dry brush, almost there. Now I do want to do some washes down the side, some very pale streaky washes. But this, I must stress, this is the palest of pale. Down. It's more wet than it is. I'll just rub it like that. Just a few. And a little bit. Doesn't give the coach a scrap heap look. It's still very much usable for the heritage line, but sort of a worn, weathered look. Right, the next thing I want to do is to fit some people. Now the roofs of these come off really easily, so all they do is literally just unclip. So I suppose the cheapness has its advantages, doesn't it? Right, so there's the interior. Now it is a little bit dull and plain, but it's a 15 quid coach. I suppose, what do you expect? But at the end of the day, it'll be absolutely fine. So just trying these people in there, it looks, yeah, I think this is one of the few occasions I don't need to chop anybody's legs off. Now, we all joke about this, about chopping people's legs off, but let me just remind you, they're little pieces of plastic. They're not really people. Okay, so they're in now. I've literally just glued them in, so the glue is still white, as you can see. But that will do. Now, there aren't many in there, I know that, and there's certainly not in every compartment. To be honest with you, they're so easy to open the lids up and soon put a few more in. So, you know, I might do that at a later date. But for the time being, that's all I've got. And that's to go in all the coaches and trains that I've got to fit in. So I want to get some in every. Now, so to clip the lids back on, it's literally just a case of putting them on so that the carriage is lined up at the end, and then just snap it back on. It's a case of squeezing the sides at the same time as pushing down on the roof. You can hear those little snaps, can't you? There you go, there's another one, and so on. Yeah, the whole of that side seems to be clipping in now. So there we go. Right, I'll get these on the layout and let's see them moving around for a bit. There we go. As the Peckett brings those suburban coaches back out again, you can see that's the weathering on those as the in situ, and also the weathering that we did on the track earlier on. You might be able to notice just here, I've had a bit of an accident with a couple of, well, all three of them actually. They've all broken off in some way or another. So I think I'm going to have to replace them with bits of wire, these point levers. But I knew they were there, and I keep catching them, and, you know, cleaning the track, just knocked one off. And the one at the far end, I don't know what happened there, and I caught the top of that one and bent it over, and, well, there we go. It's just a little bit of plastic and it's easily repaired. So I'll sort that out at some point. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that little running session there. So the top video will be the last one I showed you, which was making the fire, I believe. And the bottom video will probably be something like, I know, let's put in how I made that bridge. And the one at the far end. Catch you soon. Bye for now.